There's an ancient secret that modernity has buried under layers of consumerism, hedonism, and digital distraction. A secret that separated emperors from slaves, philosophers from the ignorant, masters from disciples. This secret isn't hidden in lost sacred texts or complex esoteric rituals. It pulses within you right now, like a flame that can both illuminate your path and consume your existence. The question that should echo in your mind like a silent thunder is this: are you the master of your desires, or just another slave masquerading as free, chained by impulses you don't understand? Modern man walks the streets like a ghost of himself, carrying in his chest an emptiness he can't even name. He seeks to fill this abyss with instant pleasures, easy dopamine hits, immediate gratification. He believes happiness lies in the next conquest, the next orgasm, the next distraction that pulls him away from the deafening silence of his own soul. But there's a truth the ancients knew and we've forgotten. The pleasure you seek outside yourself is merely a distorted echo of the power you carry within. When Marcus Aurelius wrote his Meditations by candlelight, while commanding an empire that stretched from the Atlantic to the Euphrates, he wasn't just philosophizing about abstract virtue. He was encoding a system of inner power that transformed ordinary men into giants of history. Stoicism wasn't just a school of thought. It was a spiritual forge where the masculine soul was tempered like fine steel, and at the heart of that forge burned a specific flame: mastery over the most primitive and powerful force inhabiting man, his sexual energy. Have you ever wondered why history's greatest conquerors, artists, philosophers, and leaders seem to possess a magnetic intensity that transcended the ordinary? Why some men radiate a presence that makes others instinctively bow in respect, while others drift through life as invisible shadows? The answer isn't in their DNA, their bank account, or their physical appearance. It's in how they handled the most fundamental force that moves the universe: creative sexual energy. Napoleon Hill, in his investigations into the secrets of success, discovered something that mediocre minds prefer to ignore. All the extraordinary men he studied possessed a conscious mastery over their sexual urges. Not because they were repressed or asexual, but because they understood that this energy, when transmuted through discipline and awareness, becomes the source of all significant achievement in life. Imagine for a moment sexual energy as a powerful river running through the center of your being. In most men, this river gets lost in dozens of small streams that scatter across the arid landscape of momentary pleasures. A little goes to compulsive masturbation, a little to mind-consuming fantasies, a little to the desperate search for sexual validation. In the end, what should be a mighty river capable of moving mountains becomes only a series of shallow puddles that can barely sustain life. But there's another path, the path of the inner warrior, who learns to channel this primordial force like an engineer channels water from a dam to generate electricity. When you consciously retain your sexual energy, you're not repressing it, you're concentrating it. Every impulse you choose not to follow transforms into willpower. Every desire you transmute converts into mental clarity. Every moment of voluntary abstinence adds more fuel to the furnace of your ambition. The ancient Greek and Roman philosophers knew this secret. They called it enkrateia, the self-mastery that separates civilized man from the primitive animal. It wasn't just a moral issue, it was a matter of power. The man who cannot control his most basic impulses will never control his life, his business, his relationships, or his destiny. Observe a man addicted to pornography and masturbation. See how his eyes have lost their shine, how his posture has slumped under the weight of silent shame, how his vital energy has dissipated in the pursuit of fantasy pleasures. He may have superficial success, money, status, but he carries within him a corrosive weakness that undermines every achievement. He trades his life force for seconds of artificial pleasure, like a king selling his lands for bronze coins. Voluntary abstinence isn't a denial of sexuality, it's its elevation to maximum power. When a man learns to consciously contain his sexual energy, he isn't depriving himself, he's preparing himself. Like an archer pulling the bowstring back before releasing the arrow, the conscious containment of sexual energy creates a creative tension that can be directed toward any goal he chooses. Think of the great masters of martial arts. They don't fight with uncontrolled rage or brute force. They cultivate a concentrated inner energy that explodes at the exact moment with surgical precision. Similarly, the man who masters his sexuality doesn't eliminate it. He transforms it into a precision weapon against mediocrity. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's an alchemic process that requires time, patience, and above all, a deep understanding of what you're actually doing. Each time you feel the sexual urge arise and choose not to follow it immediately, you are literally reprogramming your biology. You're teaching your nervous system that you, not your instincts, are in command. In the early days, the battle is fierce. Your mind will create 1,000 justifications for you to give in. It will whisper that you're depriving yourself unnecessarily, that a little pleasure won't hurt, that you deserve to relax. But these voices aren't yours. They are the echoes of social and biological conditioning that want to keep you in mediocrity. As days turn into weeks and something extraordinary begins to happen, the energy that once dissipated in solitary acts and empty fantasies starts to build up like pressure in a boiler. But this pressure isn't discomfort, it's raw power waiting to be channeled. You notice your mind is clearer, your thoughts sharper, your presence more magnetic. People begin to notice something different about you, even if they can't quite explain what it is. There's an intensity in your eyes that wasn't there before, a firmness in your voice that resonates with natural authority, a confidence that emanates from your body like an invisible magnetic field. You're not just retaining semen, you're cultivating presence. It's at this point in the journey that many men make a revolutionary discovery. Sex isn't just about physical pleasure. It's about energy, power, spiritual connection, and conscious creation. When you learn to voluntarily contain your sexual energy, you develop the ability to consciously release it as well. Sex ceases to be a compulsion and becomes a choice, an expression of power, not a surrender to it. Ancient Taoist masters developed entire practices based on this principle. They taught that male semen contained a man's vital essence, his jing, and that every wasted ejaculation was like burning years of life in seconds. Not because sex was sinful, but because it was too sacred to be squandered on unconscious impulses. If you've come this far on this journey with me, it's because something in your soul recognizes the truth of these words. You sense there's untapped potential within you waiting to be awakened. You suspect that the version of yourself you live today is merely a shadow of the man you could become, and you're right. But the transformation you seek won't come from outside. It must be forged in the secret laboratory of your own inner discipline. That's why, if this message is resonating with your soul right now, I need you to take action. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because the knowledge I'm sharing here isn't just information, it's a treasure map to the most powerful version of yourself. And every video you miss might be the one containing the key you've been searching for. Don't let the algorithm decide your destiny. Take active control of your evolution. Subscribe now and ensure that every transformative tool reaches you at the right time. Now, let me reveal what truly happens when a man fully masters his sexual energy. First, your ability to concentrate multiplies exponentially. The mind that once flitted like a monkey from branch to branch, chasing every sexual fantasy or digital distraction, stills like the surface of a deep lake. In that stillness, you discover you can immerse yourself in any task with a depth that was previously impossible. Second, your magnetic presence intensifies in an almost supernatural way. There's a reason why history's great leaders, from Napoleon Bonaparte to Steve Jobs, possessed an energy that made people turn when they entered a room. They had learned, consciously or unconsciously, to convert sexual energy into personal charisma. Third, your willpower becomes unbreakable. When you prove to yourself that you can resist the most basic and powerful urge of your body, you develop an inner confidence that no external circumstance can shake. You know, at a cellular level, that you possess the power to choose your actions regardless of your impulses. Fourth, your creativity explodes like a dormant volcano finally awakening. The energy that once dissipated in momentary orgasms transforms into the fuel for brilliant inspirations, innovative solutions, and profound insights. Artists, writers, inventors, and entrepreneurs throughout history have discovered that periods of sexual abstinence coincided with their moments of greatest creative productivity. Fifth, your physical and mental health regenerates in ways that conventional medicine is only beginning to understand. Every ejaculation represents a significant loss of minerals, vitamins, proteins, and, most importantly, life force. When you consciously retain this essence, it's reabsorbed by the body and redirected to strengthen all your systems. But perhaps most importantly is the sixth effect. You awaken to your true spiritual nature. Sexual energy, in its purest essence, is divine creative energy. It's the same force that moves the galaxies, that makes plants grow, that inspires artists, and that drives all evolution. When you learn to consciously work with this energy, you're not just improving your life, you're actively participating in the creative process of the universe. However, this path is not for the faint of heart. Modern society conspires against the man who seeks this kind of self-discipline. You will be bombarded daily with sexual stimuli designed to break your concentration and dissipate your energy. Hypersexualized advertising, readily available pornography, a culture that celebrates instant gratification, all of this works against your evolution. You must become a warrior in your own inner world. You must develop specific strategies to deal with moments of intense temptation. You must create rituals and practices that keep you aligned with your higher goals. You must surround yourself with influences that support your transformation and distance yourself from those that sabotage it. One of the most powerful strategies is to substitute sexual urges with intense physical activity. When sexual energy arises, instead of dissipating it in masturbation or fantasies, you channel it into exercise, sports, creative work, or projects that demand total concentration. In this way, the energy isn't repressed, it's transmuted. Another fundamental technique is the practice of mindful meditation on your impulses. Instead of fleeing sexual arousal when it arises, you observe it with scientific curiosity. Feel where it manifests in your body, note how your thoughts change, perceive the accompanying emotions. This mindful observation transforms what was once an automatic compulsion into an object of study and, eventually, mastery. Breath also becomes a tool of power. Specific breathing techniques can disperse accumulated sexual energy throughout the body, transforming localized tension into generalized vitality. Ancient yogis developed entire practices based on this principle, which they called brahmacharya, not merely celibacy but the conscious transmutation of sexual energy into spiritual power. As you progress on this journey, you'll discover that your relationship with women transforms completely. Instead of seeing them as objects of sexual gratification or prizes to be won, you'll begin to perceive them as whole human beings, each carrying their own sacred energy. Paradoxically, this shift in perspective will make you far more attractive to them. Women possess a keen intuition for detecting masculine energy. They instantly sense the difference between a man who is dissipating his vital energy in cheap pleasures and one who is consciously cultivating it. The latter radiates a magnetic presence that is almost irresistible. But here's the deeper paradox. The more you master your sexual energy, the less you need sex to feel complete, and the less you need it, the more powerful you become in all areas of your life. It's as if you're operating from a place of inner abundance instead of desperate scarcity. This doesn't mean you'll never have or enjoy sex again. It means that when you choose to have it, it will be a conscious expression of your power, not an unconscious surrender to it. It will be creation, not compulsion. It will be sacred, not mechanical. Stoic masters understood that true freedom comes from inner mastery, not external circumstances. A man may possess all the riches in the world and still be a slave to his impulses. Another may have few material resources, but if he governs himself completely, he is freer than any king. Seneca wrote, "The man who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers a city." This inner conquest begins with mastery over the most primitive and powerful force you carry. When you learn to govern your sexuality, you develop the ability to govern everything else. Marcus Aurelius, facing the immense pressures of commanding an empire, found strength in inner discipline. He knew that an emperor who cannot govern his own desires cannot truly govern anything. His meditations are replete with reflections on self-control, not as repression, but as the expression of the highest form of human power. Epictetus, who had been a slave before becoming a philosopher, taught that the only thing truly under our control is our internal choices. Everything else, wealth, health, the opinion of others, even our own bodies, is subject to external forces, but our response to our impulses, that remains eternally in our hands. When you embrace voluntary abstinence as a spiritual practice, you are following in the footsteps of these giants of philosophy. You are declaring that you are the architect of your own destiny, not merely a puppet dancing to the tune of hormones and primal instincts. But let me be clear about something crucial. This is not a journey of life denial. It's a journey of life affirmation in its highest form. You are not becoming less human. You are becoming more divine. You are not eliminating your masculinity. You are refining it until it becomes a sharp blade capable of cutting through any obstacle. Sexual energy is sacred because it is literally the force of creation. When a man and a woman unite sexually with love and consciousness, they are participating in the same mystery that created the universe. When you learn to consciously work with this energy, on your own you are accessing that same creative power to forge your own reality. Imagine waking up every morning with a mental clarity that cuts through confusion like a laser beam. Imagine facing every challenge with unshakable confidence, knowing that you possess the inner power to overcome it. Imagine radiating a presence so magnetic that opportunities are naturally drawn to you. This isn't fantasy, it's the natural result of conscious mastery over your sexual energy. The great Renaissance artists, from Michelangelo to Leonardo da Vinci, were known for long periods of celibacy during their most ambitious projects. They intuited that the same energy that created life could create immortal art, provided it was consciously channeled. Nikola Tesla, the genius inventor who literally lit up the world, practiced celibacy for most of his life. He publicly declared that his scientific work was incompatible with the dissipation of energy through casual sexual relations. His abstinence wasn't repression, it was concentration of power. Gandhi, who changed the course of history through the sheer force of his disciplined will, made brahmacharya, conscious sexual abstinence, one of the pillars of his personal philosophy. He understood that a man who cannot control his sexual impulses cannot lead a revolution. These men discovered what the ancient masters always knew: sexual energy is the fuel of all great human achievement. When this energy is unconsciously dissipated, the man remains mediocre. When it is consciously cultivated and directed, he becomes extraordinary. You may be wondering, but for how long should I practice abstinence? The answer is that there's no one-size-fits-all formula. Some men practice for weeks, others for months, others make it a lifelong practice.
The important thing is not the duration, but the consciousness and intention behind the practice. The important thing is that you begin, that you stop being an unconscious slave to your impulses and become the conscious master of your vital energy, that you stop scattering your power on fleeting pleasures and start accumulating it for lasting achievements. In the early days, you will face resistance, both internal and external. Your mind will create elaborate excuses. Your friends may not understand your choice. Society will continue bombarding you with stimuli designed to break your discipline. But remember, all resistance you face is evidence that you are on the right path. The forces that oppose your evolution do so because they fear the power you will develop. A man who masters his sexuality is a man who can master anything. He becomes an unstoppable force in the pursuit of his highest goals. As you progress, celebrate each small victory. Each resisted impulse is a battle won in the larger war for your inner freedom. Each day of conscious abstinence is an investment in more powerful future versions of yourself. But remember also to be compassionate with yourself. If you fail occasionally, don't surrender to destructive self-condemnation. See each failure as valuable information about your patterns and triggers. Use it to strengthen your strategy and increase your awareness. The truly strong man is not the one who never falls, but the one who rises more powerful with each fall. Your journey of voluntary abstinence will follow the same pattern. Each restart will be stronger than the last, until your discipline becomes as natural as breathing, and then will come the moment when you realize that something fundamental has changed within you, that the person you were before starting this journey seems like a distant stranger, that the power you always knew you possessed has finally awakened and is at your disposal. You will discover that you are no longer driven by desperate needs or compulsive desires. Your actions flow from a place of conscious choice and inner power. You no longer seek external validation because you have found an inexhaustible source of internal validation. Your goals become more ambitious because you know you possess the energy to achieve them. Your relationships improve because you are no longer projecting your unresolved needs onto others. Your health strengthens because you have stopped draining your vital energy on activities that do not contribute to your growth. And perhaps most importantly, you awaken to the fact that you always possessed this power. Voluntary abstinence did not create anything new in you. It simply removed the obstacles that prevented its natural expression. You are, and always were, a being of infinite power. Sexual energy is just one of the ways in which this power manifests itself. When you learn to consciously work with it, you awaken all the other forms of power that lay dormant within you. The warrior you are becoming doesn't fight his impulses, he transforms them. He doesn't deny his sexual nature, he elevates it. He doesn't deprive himself of pleasure, he discovers deeper and more lasting pleasures in the expression of his disciplined willpower. This is the secret that separated the Stoic philosophers from the common men of their time. This is the power that transforms slaves into emperors of mind and spirit. This is the knowledge that can transform you from another unconscious consumer of cheap pleasures into a conscious creator of your own reality. Voluntary abstinence is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning. It is the first step to becoming the man you always knew you could be. It is the key that unlocks the door to versions of yourself you haven't even imagined yet. The power is in your hands. The choice is yours. The journey begins now. Don't let another day pass where you are ruled by unconscious impulses. Don't accept a life of mediocrity when greatness is at your disposal. Rise up. Take control. Become the master of your vital energy. Transform yourself into the disciplined warrior this world desperately needs. The man you are destined to be is waiting on the other side of your next conscious choice. Voluntary abstinence is more than a practice, it's a declaration that you will no longer be a slave to anything or anyone, that your inner power is greater than any external impulse, that you are the architect of your destiny and the sculptor of your own soul. This is masculine sexual power at its highest form, not the desperate pursuit of gratification, but the conscious mastery of the most powerful force you carry. Use it wisely, and it will transform not only your life but all the lives you touch.